Committee meeting of Public Safety, Justice Affairs, February 17th. Roll call, please.
Calling the roll, Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Greenspan. Here. Mr. Germana.
Here.
Mr. Harrison.
Here.
Ms. Conwell.
Here.
There is a quorum. Also like the record to reflect that Councilman Miller is in attendance.
Welcome, Mr. Miller.
Thank you.
Public comment related to the agenda.
No, Mr. Chair, no one is signed in.
In your packet, we have the minutes of January 20th. If they're in order, I'll accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Before we get into the matters referred to committee, Sheriff Bova, you have a special guest with you today.
Afternoon, Chairman, to the Council. I'd like to introduce today George Taylor. He's the new Director of Public Safety and Justice Services. He'd like to introduce himself, if that's okay with Council.
Please.
Good morning. I'm looking forward to my move to Cayuga County in the Cleveland area and working with the county and trying to do the best job I can for them. I have just came from Westerville, Ohio, where I was assistant chief there for about a year. And I spent most of my career in Toledo, where I ended my career as assistant chief over investigations. I filled several different deputy chief spots in Toledo while I was there. I also have some time early in my career with the Lucas County Sheriff's Office. And I worked in the jail, and I was a counselor there, so I've kind of got a pretty well-rounded view of criminal justice and how things work, and I'm looking forward, like I said, to the time I'm going to spend here in Cayuga County. So.
Welcome, Director. I look forward to working with you, as I sure the rest of the committee. We have a active and vibrant committee, and we get involved, and we've got a lot of projects that are on the board, some that are coming, as we spoke earlier. It was great to get to meet you. The director also saying that he's from Toledo, went to St. Francis High School, which is a lesser high school than what we have here at Lakewood St. Edward High School, the reigning state championship football, wrestling, and usually hockey, depending on. But we'll get you into the right swing. We'll make you an Eagle before you leave. But welcome. We are excited to have you aboard. And as I said, we have a lot on the table this year, and we hope to get a lot accomplished. So we look forward to your leadership.
And I look forward to working with you. And
any other comments for Mr. Taylor? Mr. Germana?
Well, just I'll be happy to tell my wife that you're from Toledo. She went to St. Ursula Academy with, she was a classmate with Marcy Capter.
Okay.
So
I've worked with Marcy Capter on a couple different projects.
good, welcome.
Anyone else? Okay. Well, thank you for coming in, introducing yourself, and we do look forward to working with you.
And I look forward to working with you, and thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Resolution 2015-0033.
Resolution number 2015-0033, a resolution making an additional Cuyahoga County 911 Consolidation Shared Services Fund Award to City of Bedford Heights on behalf of Southeast Council of Governments in the amount not to exceed $393,447 for public safety answering point consolidation support, authorizing an amendment to agreement number 1300195 with City of Bedford Heights for the period 11/1/2013 through 12/31/2014 to extend the time period to 12/31/2015 and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed said award, authorizing the county executive to execute the amendment and all other documents consistent with said award in this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Mr. Cologne.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Roberto Colon, Deputy Chief of Staff. If I could, this will likely be the last time that I address this committee, at least as an employee of Cuyahoga County. Something tells me as a citizen resident, I may be sitting up here in the future during my 2-minute commenting period. But until such time, I think I'd really like to take just 30 seconds to really express my gratitude to Fitzgerald for really giving me this opportunity, and to all the police, fire, and EMS communities, really for the privilege to serve. And I want to specifically thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the members of the committee for your partnership really over the last 4 years. I think you stated a few minutes ago, but these committees are lively. I don't think they've always been rosy, but I can assure you at no time did I ever doubt the commitment of the members of this committee for the safety and the well-being of those citizens of Cayuga County. I hope that you can say the same about me, and again, I appreciate it. Thank you. With respect to the ordinance, both pieces today, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, are both related. 033 and 0034 are companion pieces. The 911 Shared Services Consolidation Committee, we meet, we receive these applications, we review, and then we make recommendations that come in front of this committee and ultimately in front of the whole council. These two recommendations in front of you today are the result of those committees. At the last council committee meeting and then at the last public safety committee, we approved one of them, which was the Strongsville one. These are two additional ones. So besides these two that I'll be presenting to you right now, there's also one pending in the queue, and that's one for the Beechwood organization. Their contract is still either is still being reviewed by the law department or we just received it back, one of the two. So in an upcoming council meeting, you'll see that one as well. So there's one final piece. But these two in particular, first I'd address Oath 0033, the one that was read in. That's for the city of Bedford Heights on behalf of the SECC, or the Southeast Emergency Communication Center. We originally awarded them $1.1 million in October of 2013. That was for the consolidations of Bedford Heights, Garfield Heights, and Maple Heights. And the award that we gave them was for construction. It also includes a generator within that. They are currently in the process of closing out that grant. The building is constructed, and they just had their final walkthrough last week, and now they're just doing the punch list items. So the center is currently finished, and they're slated to go live in that center in approximately 30 days. And I know that that's something that the new administration is touring, and at any time I'm sure that they will welcome a tour from many members of council, Mr. Chairman. It is obviously because it's new, and it is probably the nicest facility in the county right now until the next one opens up. So this is a supplement to that agreement. When the committee first met, we only wanted to give them construction dollars. We really wanted to get, some commitment that they were going to move forward with this project. And obviously, as they got close to that, they did a supplemental agreement, which was part of the original agreement, but we didn't entertain it at the time, but for $393,447 in front of you for radio equipment. So they're ready to go live in the dispatching side, but now they need to provide these 800 megahertz mobile radios for their police department. And so that's what the funding is going to be used for. Currently, they received a fire grant that paid for the mobiles that are going inside of the fire trucks. So this is for the police department. So this is to provide radios for Bedford Heights, Garfield Heights, and Maple Heights police departments. The project, if approved, would take about 60 to 90 days, and then they'll be live on the new radio system as well. Mr. Chairman, I can take any questions on this, and I have notes for the Parma one as well, very similar.
Questions for Mr. Cologne?
If you could just mention, Chair, the cities that you just stated. You said Bedford Heights and... Sure,
in this particular center, it's Bedford Heights, Garfield Heights, and Maple Heights, police and fire, and it is located in Bedford Heights City Hall.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Greenspan?
Great, thank you. Police, fire, and EMS, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Within as it relates to this grant, within the 60 to 90 days from approval to when the new radios go in place, that's police only? Is that what you said?
What we're buying here is police only, but they're going live with all of them at the same time.
So in the first 60 to 90 days of their operations, or 30 to 60 from whenever they go live, what equipment are they using?
Right now they're going live. When they go live in about 30 days, they're using their current analog system, which is they are all on UHF. So it's the current old stuff that they're using today, so we're keeping it all the same.
And they're all interoperable currently? They will be for the first, I'm assuming this is Mark's?
The new system that they chose to go on is the City of Cleveland radio system. They're going on the radio system.
Yeah, really?
Yes.
Okay. Are they the only, who else is on City of Cleveland?
The Sheriff's Department's on the City of Cleveland, and I'd have to turn around and look at, is Brandy here? And CCOMS is also, who else?
There's some different communities southwest that are on the Cleveland system also.
So besides CCOM, there's also the southwest, so the Strongsville area, Brook Park, and those areas are all as well on the City Cleveland radio system.
Okay. And just as it relates in general to this fund, the how much money is after these two appropriations and the additional? You said there was one other coming.
Yes, with Beechwood, the following one with Beechwood, there'll be no dollars in the fund for 2015.
So okay, so this draws it. These three draw it down 2-0.
That's correct.
Are we supplementing any of these commitments with general fund dollars?
No, there was a supplement, I believe, at the last council meeting of wireless dollars. There was a supplement of somewhere between $100,000-$200,000, I believe.
Out of the general fund, or out of what fund was that money?
Out of the wireless fund.
Out of the wireless fund into the 911 fund.
Correct.
Okay. What other commitments? I know Chagrin Valley is. What other commitments should we be aware of? I'm talking now more broadly about the fund. What else is so? This is at 0. Are there any other commitments out there?
For this year, other than the discussion that the chairman has asked over Chagrin Valley, I am unaware of any commitments that, at least under my tenure, that we have made to anyone else. I'm also unaware of any applications that are pending. I'm not familiar with any.
And the annual replenishment of this fund equals what dollar amount?
The commitment that we made is that we would do up to $2.5 million a year. Every year during the budget process. I think the first year we did 2.5, and year 2 and 3, I think we did approximately 1.7 million. So that'd be up to the executive and how he wants to reappropriate that. I'm sure that'd be discussions with this body as well.
So so the fund is at 0. They're outside of an appropriation from the general fund of $2.5 million a year. There's no additional fund. There are no additional funds that come into this account.
I'm not sure that I understand your question. I think we made a commitment that we would fund up to $2.5 million a year, and at times we have supplemented the fund with wireless funds. So it depends on the year. Year 1, we supplemented, I believe, $1 million in wireless funds. I don't believe we did any in year 2, and year 3, which is this year, we did approximately $200,000.
And the wireless funds, that's the 25 cents per cell phone bill?
That's correct.
And that the amount of money coming into that every year is how much?
Approximately a little less than $3 million a year.
Okay. And this broadens the discussion, and the chair will tell me if I go too far. The $3 million a year, I know that there was a reserve of nearly $10 million when this administration started, and there were infrastructure dollars put in place to upgrade systems throughout the county. How much of that $3 million a year is anticipated to be used to continue to support either the upgrade, maintenance, training? I know that when that program was launched, it not only covered hardware but software upgrades, maintenance, training. How much of that $3 million a year is appropriated or anticipated for those related activities?
It'd be off the top of my head, Mr. Chairman, of the councilman, I'd say about 1.5 million of it.
Okay. And so that would leave roughly under 1.5 million to serve as a supplement to this 2.5?
No, that you have to look at the budget in its entirety. There's also, I think, about $1 million in staffing costs as well, currently for CCOMs. And then there's other charges in there as well.
So the wireless fund, then, the anticipated reserve is 0. You anticipate at the end of the year, the projection is for maintenance, upkeep, and so forth of the system. It was the MARC system, correct? Or the systems that were, not the MARCs, I take that back, but the systems that were put in place throughout the county, plus balance and then the balance will go towards CCOM's operations. Is that correct?
I'm not sure that I'm entirely clear. So the 1.5 that I mentioned is on the emergency call work system that the whole county is on. They do have, present a balanced budget to you on an annual basis from the wireless fund, and any dollars that's left over every year just goes, into the next year pot, similar to, all county budgets.
So the CCOM, well, then can you just clarify then your comment regarding funding CCOMs?
Sure, yeah, the way that the CCOMs operates today is they have two index codes, one for CCOM's general fund, and they also have some of the personnel comes out of the wireless fund as well. So about a $3 million budget, it's a little less. I think about $1 million is in staffing, actual CCOM's employees. The other 1.5, like I said, is for maintenance of the new next gen 911 system, the network and the software, and then the remaining balance is for other budgetary line items.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand. So of the roughly $3 million of the wireless money, that's all going to CCOMs in one way or another, hardware.
Yeah, it is all, Mr. Chairman of the Council, it is all deposited in the wireless fund, which is overseen by the Department of Public Safety, the director. So it's its own index code.
And the cost to operate CCOMs is about the same amount of money as we take in, correct? From the wireless fee.
The cost to operate CCOMs is the approximately $3 million a year plus. I think their general fund budget is about $500,000.
Okay.
So both of those are the cost to operate CCOMs.
So it costs more to operate CCOMs than the wireless money that comes in.
I think that's a fair statement. Yes.
Okay. So I guess my original statement was the equipment that we put in throughout the county and the various municipalities. Where's the money going to come to fund the maintenance, training, and software upgrades, hardware issues if they come up, which we committed to them was going to be covered by the county?
Sure, that budget that comes from an agreement that we have that comes from the wireless budget, that index code, the 1.5 million, our contracts obligated against that, and the agreements that we entered into both are about approximately 10 years, so it comes from that budget.
Okay. All right, thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Hairston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question. I believe staff had reached out to you prior about South Euclid, Cleveland Heights, and the other municipalities in that northeast section. Is that application, has that been submitted? Is it pending, or where is
Yes,
that?
Mr. Chairman of the Councilman, yes, that's the Beechwood application that I'm referring to. Yeah, that one will be the largest one that your body will see. I think they're reducing 5 or 6 PSAPs themselves.
Correct.
And a little less than $2 million at South Euclid, University Heights, Beechwood, a few other cities in that one. That one, I believe we've gotten the contract back.
Did? Okay.
And so we're expecting that to be introduced at your next council meeting.
Good. I apologize for that because I was told that South Euclid were submitting the application on the behalf, but it's in fact Beechwood.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, we're both correct. So South Euclid was the lead in the application, okay. So they led the entire process. And then when it was time to get an agreement in place, they decided that Beechwood will be kind of the fiduciary agent overseeing the funding.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Anything further?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just a follow-on question.
Mr. Greenspan for one follow-up question.
Yes. The 600,000, I believe 600,000 that was appropriated to Cleveland, the ask was 3, and I believe we knocked it down to 1 year at 600,000. Correct. That's asking for clarification, not my question. Clarification on that thought?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have to turn over. I don't remember what the Cleveland ended up being. I have to look at 600.
600.
And Mr. Chairman, it is $600,000 a year.
Now my question, is that 600,000 coming out of, is that coming out of the wireless fund?
Mr. Chairman, that is coming out of the wireless fund.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anything further? Okay, hearing none, I would, and because of time, we need to move these forward. The cities are waiting to move on these, correct, Mr. Colon?
Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
So I'll accept a motion for Resolution 2015-0033 to the full council under emergency provision, recommendation, suspension, and adoption.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Thank you, Mr. Colon. Resolution 2015-0034.
Resolution number 2015-0034, a resolution making a Cuyahoga County 911 Consolidation Shared Services Fund Award to City of Parma on behalf of Parma Emergency Regional Dispatch Center in the amount not to exceed $971,911 for public safety answering point consolidation support for the period 2/1/2015 through 1/31/2016, authorizing the county executive to execute the agreement and all other documents consistent with said award in this resolution, and declaring the necessity of this resolution become immediately effective.
Mr. Colon.
Mr. Chairman, Roberto Colon again. This is a companion piece to the one that's before, so all my introductory comments remain the same. This is, again, they submitted an application Theirs was reviewed at a January 6, 2015 shared services meeting, and the recommendation is to fund 971-911. This project includes the city of Parma, Parma Heights, and Brooklyn, moving into a new facility in the city of Parma. So the city of Parma is taking the lead on this application. Their project currently is ranging somewhere between $3 to $5 million. The overall project, it's an old, I believe, library that they are rehabbing partially for this purpose and for some other services I believe that they're incorporating into that facility. So there is a large match on their end. The 971-911 specifically is for the technology portion of this of their project, and in that they're looking at putting workstations, a logger or a voice recorder, desktop computers, networking equipment, some radio system equipment, dispatching software, EMS software, and some administrative telephone equipment. And that's what they're looking at for the 971-911, Mr. Chairman.
Questions for Mr. Cologne? Mr. Greenspan, you only have a few more chops at the Cologne tree.
No, well, Mr. Hairston deferred all of his questions to me.
Mr. Hairston, the article in the newspaper has gone to your head.
With the money going to these communities, the ones we're talking about today, the previous ones, the ones that Beechwood coming before us, what other commitments are they anticipating from the county on an ongoing basis?
Mr. Chairman, I'm aware of any other commitments that the county is providing to them other than the next generation 911 equipment that we're currently implementing. All of these awardees are signed up to use that new system. But other than that, I'm aware of any other commitments that we made for them.
Okay, so they're expecting nothing more from us other than the next gen hardware.
Sure, I would say they're probably expecting some changes to the 911 plan in the future, some more procedural and policy type of changes. But other than that, there's no additional financial commitments or any of those things that we have, at least made to these communities. So I'm unaware of any.
Okay, thank you.
Further?
Sure.
Mr. Germano.
Well, first of all, I'd like to add my name as one of the sponsors, obviously because it's Parma Heights, which are two cities in my district. This is the Ridge Road Library that was closed for the consolidation when they had the new library. The City of Parma Recreational Department's out of that, and also Congressman Renacci has an office there. So looking forward to it. I know the City of Parma, they have been anxiously awaiting this, and I give it, of course, my full support.
Thank you. Anyone? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Kyle.
Through the chair to Deputy Chief, just for the Beechwood PSAPs, do you have a roundabout or estimated figure that dollar amount will bring?
Mr. Chairman, the councilman, yes, I believe that application is about $1.9 million.
Thank you.
Anything further? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion for Resolution 2015-0034 to the full council under suspension of the rules with emergency provision with recommendation of adoption.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Thank you very much. Mr. Cologne, thank you. On behalf of myself and I would hope members of this committee, we greatly appreciate your efforts over these past years. We could not have gotten to where we are today without your direction. It is true that there was headbutting, but I think that makes for a healthy atmosphere as far as getting and drilling down to where we need to be. You're always respectful, and I greatly appreciate that, and wish you welcome here anytime to either visit us here at the committee or the council as a whole. As you darken our doorstep, we look forward to seeing you into the future, and we welcome and we wish you nothing but Godspeed. Yes, sir.
Just on behalf of the new administration, I also would echo those comments to Mr. Colon. During the past, I don't know, about 6-7 weeks, he's really been instrumental in getting us all up to speed on the PSAP centers and the emergency systems. It's very complex, and he's devoted a lot of time. I know to me personally, we've talked a lot about it, and he's really helped us and guided us so that we will be up to speed on the workings of all of these contracts and on moving forward. So I want to personally thank him on behalf of the new executive.
Thank you. Under discussion items, if I could hold the fire safety dampers for 1 second. Mr. Toms from the Common Pleas Court. Mr. Toms, you, and I'm sorry I missed your seminar, I believe it was, on domestic violence. I would have greatly appreciated being there, but I couldn't make it. I had a conflict. But I thought if you could go through that, tell us where we're at with that, and hopefully in the future we could get together and start making it a regular occasion to hearing about domestic violence.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. This was a program that we call By the People, and it started with a similar program a year or two ago with the Common Pleas Court and the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association to try to do forums around the county on issues of interest to the people that they may have questions on. And like so many things do, it sort of fell by the wayside. And Judge John J. Russo had asked me in my capacity to try to restart this forum. And so we did that with a number of different organizations, the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association, again, the County Prosecutor's Office, the Sheriff's Department, the various judges around the county. And we want this to be an ongoing series of conversations about legal issues that people may have questions about and may need help with. And with everything that happened last fall with the high-profile domestic violence cases in Cayuga County, the Ray Rice situation, we thought that it was a good first topic for us to tackle. We also had a lot of help from the new Family Justice Center. And fortunately, we were able to do the program after the Family Justice Center opened, so they were a huge help. And great partners in this program. So we got together panelists. It was Judge Ronald Adrian of the Municipal Court in Cleveland, County Prosecutor McGinty, Judge K.J. Montgomery in Shaker Heights, Judge Diane Palos, who's the Administrative Judge of the Domestic Relations Court, Judge John J. Russo, Administrative Judge of Common Pleas Court, Jill Smilek, who runs the Family Justice Center, Judge Kristen Sweeney, Administrative Judge of the Juvenile Court, and Bob Tobuck, the Cayuga County Chief Public Defender. So it was a great panel. We used the old council chambers and learned 2 days beforehand that all the recording equipment had been removed and brought over here. But we did have an opportunity to have TV20 come in, and they did video the forum for us. So hopefully we will have that all together and available for our various organizations' websites so that people who may have wanted to attend could still see it. Our idea was to have people who may be dealing with domestic violence issues to be able to come in and ask how the court system works, what happens when you have a protection order, a temporary restraining order, how are bonds set, how do cases move from municipal court to common pleas court, how does it become a felony level. We held it at the Justice Center because we knew that there would be the Sheriff's Department there and security. And we had a full house. It was mostly people who work with people who deal with domestic violence. So I talked to quite a few people, and everybody got something out of it that they didn't know before and were able to take back to their organizations. So we called it By the People. We plan to meet again in a month or two and try to set up our next program. So if there are any suggestions from the council members of good topics that you think would be worth covering the next time around and going on to the future, we're always open to suggestions.
Well, thank you for making time out of your day today, and I apologize for not making it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I fully intended on that. It's an important item. It's a hot button issue right now, but a very important issue, and hopefully this committee can be of help to you as you move forward. If you would let Janine know when those dates are? So
Sure.
all of council, if you would let all of council know?
Absolutely.
That'd be greatly appreciated. Are there any questions for Mr. Toms? No? Thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that equipment never worked anyhow, the audio, so.
It worked fine. We just couldn't record it.
Oh, okay. Oh, the recording, okay.
Thank you so much.
They fixed it after we left. Now, my favorite subject, fire dampers in Cuyahoga County buildings. The long walk to the podium. Here he is.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Michael Dever with the Department of Public Works, along with Otilio Morales.
Welcome, gentlemen. Where are we at?
Since T is primarily taken over the responsibilities of this project, and we're glad to say that the project is still lurching forward, and we're not completed with it as of yet. The biggest project we have going right now is in regards to the old courthouse, which we brought to your attention at our previous meetings. We were putting together some bid specifications and a survey of the asbestos issues within the facility so that we can do the repairs on those dampers in the building. And well, I'll let T speak on behalf. Go ahead.
Right. And I know you're working on that, and I don't want to be taking time out of your days as we move forward. If you could just tell me where we're at and when you should come back to let us know when the next step will be taken. Because ultimately, our concern is just safety, and always has been. And from your side, I know you ran into some particular problems. That's understood. I just want to know, when can we really see this jump off?
Well, let me give you the overview. Here's where we're at. Currently, we're at Juvenile Justice Center. On Friday, February the 13th, we completed the penthouses. We moved into the tower beginning tonight, and we'll continue the fire damper inspections in the tower till we're 100% complete. For the Virgil Brown building, we've contracted with Erie Kin and Goss, and we retained them for providing codified review for the welded angles to tell us whether we do have to replace those or not. As far as the courthouse goes, we have a meeting tomorrow with Solar Testing. They're to provide the complete survey report along with cost estimate and specifications for contract services for the abatement portion of the project. Ballpark figure is somewhere in the neighborhood of $750,000, and that's where we're at. We do have a guesstimate for putting this out to bid. If everything goes right, we should be able to have a bid package together sometime mid-April, and that's where we're at.
Now, Mr. Boyle was involved in basically liaison between your department and the administration. Who's that buffer now, or do we not have one?
I believe the administration, I think, is relying on the work that we're doing.
Okay.
We've been in some brief conversation about it, but I think the direction we're going right now is in a positive step. Obviously, there's going to be a large cost for this abatement. We still need to have that discussion if we're close to $700,000 for abating the old courthouse. So that's one of those discussions I hope to initiate within the next few days here to make sure we have those funds procured for this.
And is there an idea on how long the abatement would take?
Roughly, we're going to do concurrently is the abatement, and then also to let out a contract to repair those dampers, the 105 that need to be taken care of. So the intent is to have that contract underway, hopefully the first week of June. As they're abating in those areas, when they're finished, then the secondary contractor can come in and start doing the repairs. So they're going concurrently.
Okay.
So our hope is that the entire abatement and repairs are completed within a 6-month period.
And no interruption of court services?
We're not anticipating. The intent is to do all of the work after hours.
Okay.
And that's how it'll be bid out. So that, and then we secure those areas after they work in them so that there's no asbestos flying in the air, should I say, in those areas. So the intent is not to disrupt the court operations at all.
Okay. Questions? Mr. Greenspan?
Thank you. So roughly I heard about $1.5 million, 700 here, 750 here. What other, if we had to estimate kind of a total capture cost here, what are we looking at?
This is the most difficult of the project, the overall project. We're talking 2,800 dampers are within the county facilities. So this 150 or 105 dampers in the old courthouse, since this is somewhat unusual, additional cost on top of this 1.5 million is what?
Well, I'm just asking from where we are today to when we get every damper in the county
Right.
up and operational.
Right.
Remediation, new equipment, permits, the whole 9 yards. I mean,
Right.
if I was to hold you to a dollar amount,
Yeah.
which is what I'm asking you to,
Right.
which is what I'm going to do.
And it's a fair question,
Okay.
very much so, because we can't just continue to go in here and spending, and we've got to have a firm handle on, what the estimated cost is. I wouldn't be surprised if it's close to $2.5 million.
Total all in, okay. Are there any state or federal grants that we might qualify for under any type of program you're aware of, whether it's asbestos remediation protocol, whether it's public safety, fire suppression grants? Is there anything that we're looking at state or federally that we may qualify for?
As of right now, no, but that discussion came up within the last few weeks here, and I think we're going to continue to explore those avenues. So the next time I come back to you, maybe I can report back and give you an update on possible funding options instead of just going towards the general fund for this.
And just out of more of a protocol perspective, how do you become aware that there are these programs available at the state or federal level? Do you use our lobbyists? Are there trade? Does the Engineers Association? I mean, how are these items brought to our attention?
I think the specific trades that are involved in this, I think they have some ideas about possible funding options. So it's communication with them. I think you're right in regards to lobbyists and others that at the level we are in Public Works right now, we're not exposed to as much of that, but we're willing to look into it and see if there is some funding available, okay? So I can assure you the next time I come before you, I'll have some answers in regards to possible ways to help fund this.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anything further? We knew, Mr. Germana?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When we first got into this probably was covered, but I can't recall. Is this fire dampers part of the Cleveland City Code?
It's part of the federal code, actually, and so you're supposed to. How would I explain it? There's a law on the books here that says that you're supposed to maintain your fire dampers within your building, as the councilman had brought to quite clearly to our attention. The fire marshal is responsible for coming around and inspecting. Unfortunately, I don't think the city of Cleveland has the resources to do those type of inspections. So we're supposed to issue a report on a 4-year cycle that's saying that we had inspected those dampers and that they are functioning adequately. And that's what initiated this, and now we're going through the inspection process. We're not completed because now we're in the Juvenile Justice Center, which is 4 years old, and now we're going through the inspection of that facility. But there is the law out there that requires us to do this, and so we're following that. And if I understand correctly, the city of Cleveland now is entertaining similar legislation And I think they're about to embark on the same effort with their facilities.
To do their buildings, but as far as any public, well, not public, but private office buildings and so on, they're required.
They're required to do it also.
But it's not enforced?
I think it's one of those things that people haven't looked too closely at, unfortunately. I can tell you within hopefully a short amount of time here, the city of Cuyahoga County's facilities will be all inspected and be tested, and I feel we'll pass with flying colors.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just, once Cayuga County gets its complete fix on our dampers, as a public service to these other owners of properties, it might be a good thing for us to emphasize that people should be looking at correcting these dampers, because as we've seen in demonstration, there's smoke, it could kill people.
Yeah, we kind of knew, we didn't know what we were going to get into, but we knew we'd probably get into some things. And the costs that now we're experiencing are costs that probably we shouldn't be experiencing, because they should have been taken care of many moons ago, and none of us were really even around it. It was just pushed off, and now we're at a point where we see the problem and we have to deal with it. Again, I'm not going to apologize for cleaning up a mess. It's going to be difficult to find the funds to do it, but we're going to have to find the funds to do it, because it has to be done, or we become no better than those in the past that pushed it off to us in the future. So we gotta stand our ground and address this. And then when we're all done, we've got to start over and get on a normal routine, much like the hospitals and schools do. So I don't see us as any different, quite honestly, because of being a public space, having guests, having visitors, having inmates whose lives are on our shoulders if God forbid something happens. So I know this has been very difficult, and I know we've pressed. I think we've been okay as far as pushing, but I understand this is a problem that we've run into. We're going to run into some more. I would anticipate we'll get over them. We're in this together, and I appreciate what especially you two have done to this point. I think I'd rather do it right than quick, and we're in that gear. So I'll talk with you privately as far as when you should maybe come back and let us know what the final costs are and what options we may want to try and explore. Is there anything else? Mr. Miller.
Just a comment that the cost of $2.5 million is less than 1% of the narrowest conception of the county's general fund, and to fix a major problem that's been percolating over the years and get us back on a proper maintenance schedule. It's a doable number, and we can handle it.
Thank you, sir. Anything further? Mr. Greenspan, nothing? And miscellaneous business. Anybody have any miscellaneous business?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Other public comment?
No, Mr. Chair, no one is signed in.
Thank you.